Okay.
I need to get my other binder.
Oh, not in here, only in Math Plus. So, hey, quiet. Now, my point to say is this, girls. The kids were working on their packets, their relearn packets. And I think that each of them learned a little bit better what it was that they weren't doing so well, that caused them to not get as good a grade as they wanted on their test. So I think if you do the same thing, that you will get very similar benefits where things work out really well for you, okay? So I'm hoping that you take that relearn packet seriously and you do a good job on it. How many of you guys have started your relearn packet? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay. All right, that's a start, that's a start. So hopefully this weekend, listen, hopefully this weekend, everybody who's doing a relearn packet, and there should be 15 or 16 of you in here, hopefully you start it all on your, whatchamacallit. Hopefully you, I had two thoughts hit my mind. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Hopefully you start your relearn packet by watching the videos and doing the B section over the weekend, for all the parts you have to do. And then let me check that over at Extra Help either Tuesday night at the library or Tuesday or Wednesday morning in Extra Help. And then on Thursday it'll be there. If any of you have Mr. Friend to help you, he can also go over that relearn packet. He knows what he's doing with that as well. So we've taught together for a long time. He knows exactly what to do with that relearn packet. Okay, so before we start with your lesson for today, we need to go over today's quiz. And I have a very big concern from today's quiz. The first question. Now, virtually everybody got the first question right. But on most people's paper, I wrote, okay, comma, but, dot, dot, dot. And the way I saw people get this right is very disturbing to me. Most people had the wrong way of doing things. And I'm going to try to explain an analogy that'll make sense to you. Okay? Now, you get this question, 3x minus 1 equals 11. And we want to talk about the right way to do that. Was anybody on a wrestling team here last year? Nobody was on a wrestling team last year? Okay. Well, let me explain this a little bit from wrestling point of view. Let's say that there's a kid, I coached wrestling for years. Let's say I've got a kid on my team who is a super stud. I coached a kid years ago by the name of, coached a lot of them. Let me pick one up. This kid, Jack Keogh. Right? Jack, very, very strong, very powerful kid. And he could beat most kids just because he was bigger, stronger for his weight than the other kid would be. And most of the time, if he went to wrestle a kid, he could just crush him. But I would insist that he used proper technique, that he didn't do things the wrong way, because I knew that eventually he was going to wrestle a kid who was just as strong as he was, who was just as powerful as he was. And then I knew that if he didn't have good technique, he could be beat. So in the beginning, he might go out there and just pin a kid with this one move called the half Nelson and beat him in no time flat. And he would be pumped when he would leave the mat, like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I would be like, no, we need to do this better. You took some chances out there that you only got away with because you were better than that kid. If you solve this equation by saying to yourself, 3 times what number minus 1 equals 11, you did this wrong. Now, you did get the right answer because this one's really easy. But we're going to do a couple of questions on the do it in a minute that are not so easy. And we need to learn proper technique, just like wrestlers need to learn proper technique. What you do here, 3x minus 1 equals 11, is you should always look at, are you looking at me? You should always look at this and ask yourself first, what is being added or subtracted? Remember, an equation is like a scale. As long as you do the same thing to both sides of the scale and that scale stays balanced, that's a picture of equality. It means everything's going okay. The minute you do one thing to one side of the scale and something different to the other side of the scale, we have a problem. Okay? So, you always focus first on whatever's plus or minus here. This says -1, so what do? Plus 1. You do the opposite. Now, die. On this side of the scale, I still have 3 x's left. On this side of the scale, I have 11 plus 1, which is 12. Now, what's happening to the x? It's being multiplied by 3. So what is the opposite of to multiply by 3? Divide by 3. Die. X equals 4. Now, this is the work that I want to see on every person's paper when you do a question like this. Yes, Rich?
Last year, Ms. Internet, she taught us like railroad tracks and it equals like tracks, and we had to do each side of the railroad tracks.
Yes, you gotta do the same exact thing on both sides, whether you wanna call it railroad tracks or a scale. What Miss Antonacci told you is exactly true. You must do the same thing to both sides. Yes?
Like, I was in the same class as Rachel, but Miss Antonacci told me to do it like I usually do it, because I do it normally
Which is
in my head.
never. Do not. It's really bad. I'll show you why. Ready?
I mean, I got it right.
Yeah, I agree. And as soon as I start making them harder, they're not gonna be okay. Ready? Do this in your head.
Just writing down random numbers.
Go ahead. Do I need to say any more? You can't do it.
I could try.
I can do it. You can't do that.
I could try.
You could, and you, no offense, I adore you, you would wait.
12.
1.
You're
1, 2,
not
3, 4,
gonna
5,
get
6,
it
7,
right.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Okay,
13, 14, 15,
so listen,
comes up on the
Hey.
It's like point.
if you learn proper technique, I can throw any equation at you and you will get it right. And if you rely on how smart you are today and your knowledge of numbers today, you won't. I could even make it much simpler. I could even make one that looks. Don't tell me you're gonna do that in your head.
I'll do it right now.
I can.
The answer is 51.
Easy.
I was gonna say 12.
It's
I
not,
was gonna say 60.
because you can't do it.
Why not?
Because people don't walk around with those numbers in their head.
Yes, they do.
Then
No,
why you just walk
no,
around?
math geniuses do. And there are very few math geniuses in this world. Yes,
Have you seen the show Child Genius?
no.
They literally like do
Yes.
like all these numbers in their head. I'm like, I can't even do like that.
Yes, and
I
you know
can't
what?
do 2 plus
The
2
truth be known, it's like, do you guys know Lainey Boble?
Yeah.
No.
Have you ever seen her do flips?
No.
Yes.
She's unbelievable.
Oh.
Lainey, what she can do naturally, the way she can like run and flip and do 360s and land on her feet, God bless her. Most people can't do this. So if I said to you, I'll just do what Lainey does.
I'm done.
Ain't gonna work. If I said to you, just do what the child genius does.
I would
It just doesn't
try,
work.
but, like,
Yeah.
if you
All right?
would pay for that
Now,
shit for my
um,
head after that.
What I, hey, stop talking. I want you, guys, please, this is really important. If you want to survive the first marking period, if you want to pass anything for this year, you will stop doing what you're doing and you will do what I'm telling you to do. Okay? It's not gonna work any other way. And you'll see that on the Do It today. Yes? Snacks? No? Okay. All right, so, why didn't you just, all right, so the next part of the quiz, and I need to put this up here, is the table. And you guys did way better on this table than I thought you would. Only because I hadn't done anything like this in class. And you guys were excellent.
I'm so mad.
Person, and then money.
Money?
Yep. And we have Warren Buffett, and he's worth 6.2 times 10 to the 9th. And then we have Mark Zuckerberg, which is 9.8 times 10 to the 8th. These numbers are not accurate. I change them every day. One of the days is true. The other days are not true. 4.7 times 10 to the 10th. David Koch, who is 4.1 times 10 to the 9th.
Nope. Because I
And then
did
Bill
this
Gates.
grade, did it great.
1.1 times 10 to the 10th. Girl, what's the issue here? Are we okay? All right. Question.
On this side, it says net worth, not money.
Yeah, that net worth is money.
No.
Okay. Now, the next thing that we want to do here is we want to order this from least to greatest. And I actually find it a little easier to do greatest first. So let's look for who has the most money. Which one of those 5 people has the most money? Snacks. Gabriella.
Mark.
Why do you think Mark, because she's wrong, why do you think Mark has the most money?
Could he owns Facebook?
Because you see the 9.8, right?
Wait, I got it.
Go ahead.
JB.
JB.
Coffee King.
Absolutely. How did you know JB, which is Jeff Bezos? He created, I think, Amazon. How do you know that he has the most money there? Because Mark Zuckerberg, MZ, he has 9.8 whatever, and this is 4.7 whatever. How do you know he has more? That's exactly right. See, what matters, excuse me, isn't it make sense, Gabriella? Can we stop? Doesn't it make sense that the more zeros after the numbers, the more money you have? Right? Like, doesn't a million have more zeros than 1,000? So what's more, 1 million or 4,000? 1 million, somebody on that please. Because there's more zeros. Well, this number here is going to tell you about the number of zeros. So which 2 here have the biggest exponents?
Denise to the health office for early dismissal.
Okay.
Take me with you.
Definitely JB,
Where are you now?
and there.
Yo, it's on my paper.
Do you understand that every time that you allow yourself to be distracted or to make noise or to do any of that, that at the same time you're saying to yourself, what we're doing isn't important enough to pay attention, so I don't really need to learn it. And when that happens, who ends up suffering? You do. So that's why you need to control this, because it's in your best interest, not mine, not your mom's, not your dad's, yours. And the person sitting around you, that's very important too. Now, clearly, the 2 that are going to have the most money because they have the highest exponent are Bezos and Gates. Now, what's bigger, 4.7 or 1.1? 4.7. So this is the most. Bezos is number 1. Gates is number 2. Now, take a look at the next ones. Who are going to have, well, which one, let's change it around a little bit. Which one's going to be the least amount of money? The least amount, go ahead.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, how come you know he's going to be least?
Because his exponent's the least out of the
Yeah,
rest.
the exponent's the least. So he's going to be number 5. By the way, who is Mark Zuckerberg?
My cousin.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook.
Oh.
Okay.
Does he have a Facebook?
Who did it?
Yeah, he made it for his sister. Okay, next.
Aw.
What's bigger? 6.2 times 10 to the 9th or 4.1 times 10 to the 9th?
6.
6.2. So this guy's number 2, that's Warren Buffett. And this guy is number,
His name is Dr.
oh, I'm sorry, hold it. We already had 1 and 2. This guy's 3, and this guy's 4. So if I now order them from least to greatest, which is what they wanted to, Mark Zuckerberg, then David Koch, then
Oh, I thought-
Warren Buffett, then Bill Gates, and then finally Jeff Bezos. Okay? All right, question, Gabrielle.
Oh,
He didn't even talk about
I said my Mark Zuckerberg because I thought you were going from least to greatest.
You wanna-
I was going from least to greatest.
Do we get a cookie if we
You
get
said,
100?
He likes going greatest first. Yeah, you said that, yeah.
Greatest first.
You said you wanted to, but then I said.
Oh, did I? If I want a greatest first, then it would go in the opposite order. I thought it said least to greatest on there. Yeah, it does say least to
No,
greatest.
yeah, I was reading from my paper.
Wait,
but
when
you
did
said-
it
Hold,
minus
hold,
20?
can you,
He's,
Yeah, we can-
what he said is that he.
hold on, slow down. Gabriella's in the middle of a question. Can everybody respect that? Go ahead.
No, I was just saying how like, you said there that we were going from greatest to lowest, but then,
Oh, you mean when I did the work up here?
yeah.
Well, I was looking for the easiest way to do it. So the first thing I wanted to emphasize to everybody was that the exponent is what matters.
Yeah, but I read from my paper. That's why I read the least one.
Oh, when you answered it. Okay, now I got you. I'm with you now. Okay, if you didn't get full credit, it's because something was off on the order that you wrote things. Okay? Now, you are going to get the same quiz, except I'm going to change the numbers in the boxes next time. So you figure it out next time, and you get ready to go there. Diana, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Why? She got it right, I got it wrong. Again.
Oh, can you better go?
Did you?
And I'm supposed to do what?
Fix it.
Oh, you know why? Because you never circled an answer.
But it's right there.
But I don't know that that's the answer.
But it's
If you,
obvious 'cause
no, it's not obvious.
I wrote it.
No, you have to kind of say that X is whatever it is. If you would have done that, you would have gotten credit. Now, the really cool thing is that we're going to obviously do the quiz again.
Right now?
No.
Oh, yes, 'cause I'm-
And in so doing that quiz tomorrow, then you can get your 100 and everything will be okay. All right? I am extremely serious about what I mentioned a minute ago about making sure that you solve these equations the right way. We're going to do 1 and 2, get that over with, a little bit of review stuff here, and then we're going to introduce today's lesson with this number 2 right here, the other number 2, if you will, and get things going. So first off, number 1, evaluate each. 8 to the 0, what does that equal? Everybody. All right, everybody? Now, let's do part B. What's 5 to the 0? 1. 3 to the negative 1 is?
3.
1 over 3. A negative exponent? 1 over. Reciprocal. Okay? So now 1 plus a third is? 1 and 1/3. So I have 1 here, I have 1 and 1/3 here. Express the product. Listen, I'm never going to fight with you. If you want to talk all period, talk all period. I just won't do any work. And if I don't do work, who suffers? You guys do. So I think, I don't know if it's because it's a Friday. I don't know if it's because it's after lunch. I don't know if it's both of these things. But you have to get to yourself in a position where you know how to do things. Listen, does anybody here go to church? Do you behave in church like you do when you're hanging out with your friends on the street corner? No. Do you go to your grandparents' house? What happens if you misbehave at your grandparents' house? Does grief follow? Does grief follow?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Mom and dad are not happy. Now,
Spanish.
in this classroom, in fact, in all classrooms, if you walk into the class and you talk, and in general, whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter if you're daydreaming, it doesn't matter if you're talking, it doesn't matter if you're doodling, it doesn't matter if you're turning around. If you are not focused on this, then eventually it's going to catch up to you and you're going to suffer because of it. So you have to will yourself forward. When kids say to themselves, what am I ever going to learn in school that's going to help me? That's going to help you a lot. Because at some point you're going to get a job. And I promise you, there will be parts of your job that are boring, frustrating, and you really don't want to do. And if when you get to the parts of your job that you're supposed to perform, even though you're not really into it at that moment, if you don't do the job, what's the boss going to do to you? Fire you.
He's gonna give you promotion.
So you need to learn, only if you're a politician, you need to learn how to do this and to be more responsible and get more out of yourself. Okay, express the product in scientific notation. The way we do this, what do I do to the coefficients? And what do I do to the exponents? So 5 times 7 is 35 times 10 to the 14. Am I done? No. Stephen, head up. Why am I not done here? 35 is bigger than 10. Good. What do I do to make an adjustment, Gabriella? And what allows me to put the decimal there? What did I really do? What did you say? Because I think you're right. Yeah, but I agree it's 3.5, but I can't just like pick a decimal up and move it. Well, you divide it by 10. But then if I divide by 10 here, what do I have to remember to do over here, everybody? Multiply by 10. So I get 3.5 times 10 to the 15. Okay? And that is a manipulation, boys, that you will see multiple times, Chris, on your state exam. You will see it multiple times on all the tests that we take from now until May. So if you don't get familiar and comfortable with that manipulation, it's gonna hurt you throughout the year. So we have to make sure that we're very good on it. That's why you see it so often. Okay, next up. And now we begin to address Angela's thing about, well, I just do it in my head because I can do it in my head. It's not so simple. There's proper technique to how you go about doing these things. Now, if you remember, I had a kid who wrestled for me years ago. His name was John Weiler. John was really tough. He had an amazing fireman's carry. Absolutely amazing. He used to pin kids in 4 seconds with his fireman carry. He'd go out there, they'd shake hands, match was over. Just like that. Now, in a fireman's carry, what happens is, could you stand up for a minute?
Do it.
No, I wouldn't do it to him. I'm not even gonna do it to him, I'm just gonna set him up. Stand like this. Okay. Now, don't be scared, I'm not gonna hurt you. Now, I'm gonna grab him like this, I'm gonna push him and pull him, and at some point, I'm gonna lift this arm up. I'm gonna go underneath, and I'm gonna stick my head right under here, and I'm gonna throw him over my back. Now, after a while, all of Suffolk County realized that John was gonna grab their arm. And they knew that the minute he grabbed their arm, they were gonna lose. So do you know what they did? Rather than walk out like Jerry just did, they walked out like this. And they pulled their arm back. So in the beginning, John had to make an adjustment. He had to say to himself, what am I gonna do? Then he learned a move called the low single. And the low single attacks this leg. So based on whether the guy went out there and put his arm forward, if he put his arm forward, what did John do? Fireman's carry. If he pulled his arm back, what did John do?
Grab thighs.
Low single. No, actually low single. He grabbed down by the ankle. He would grab down by the ankle. It's the same thing with equations. You need to look at these equations like you're wrestling these guys. And when you do this, one of two things happens every time with these equations. Either the letters are on the same side or they're on opposite sides. When you look at an equation, I want you to understand, you mentioned Miss Antonacci saying railroad tracks. What I would like to think of it as is this. Every time you see an equal sign, there's a wall. And that wall represents either side of what would be on the balance scale. In letter A, are these ends on the same side or are they on opposite sides? Everybody?
Same side.
They're on the same side. See, the ends are on the same side of that arrow there. Here they are. So when we see them on the same side, we do the same operation. Same side, I'm going to say same side, you're going to say same operation. Same side?
Same operation.
Very good. So what is 6 ends minus 3 ends?
3 ends.
3 ends. Then I have 3n plus 4 equals 13. Now, let's do what we talked about on that quiz. This says plus 4, you do. This says plus 4, you do.
-4.
Minus 4, very good. Always inverses or opposites. Die. Did I touch the 3n?
No.
No, so it's still sitting there. Equals, what's 13 minus 4? What is 13 minus 4? 9. Then I divide by 3. And I get n is equal to 3. It was multiplied by 3 here, so I did the opposite and divided. Now, take a look at letter B. Hold on. Take a look at letter B. Chris, you're frustrating me to no end today. I've seen you turn to the side, turn around, and not do your work more than I've seen you do your work this period. Now, are these H's on the same side of the equation, yes or no? No. Now you're going to repeat after me. Ready? I'm going to say opposite side, and then I'm going to say opposite operation. Opposite side?
Opposite operation.
Very good. So when you see the variables on the same side, like here, you do the same operation. When you see them on opposite sides, you do the opposite operation. Now, danger, danger, danger. Steve Irwin, crocodile hunter, truly heroic man.
You already told us the story.
That's great. And this is the second most deadly question in the whole world. One little bite from this beauty, you're a goner. That's what's going to happen.
It's like Bear Grylls.
Now, take a look here. Do you see this negative sign here?
Uh-huh.
That has nothing to do with the 3H. Nothing. It has to do with the 15. Think about this for a minute. What's the difference between, not looking at them, but just through this terminology, Mr. Lindquist and Mrs. Lindquist? One's a boy, one's a girl. How do you tell which one's which? Not by looking at them. Mr. is a boy and Mrs. is a girl. Do you notice how Mr. and Mrs. go in, boy, Lindquist. Do you remember how Mr. and Mrs. go in front of Lindquist? So just like that with positives and negatives, what kind of 15 is this?
A negative.
Negative.
15.
What kind of 3H is this?
A positive.
Positive. So if that's positive 3H, I have to do minus 3H. Now, what are 5 H's? Minus 3 H's. 2 H's. And that's what we mean by opposite operation. When the letters are on opposite sides, this was positive 3H, I need to do negative 3H. That's what opposite operation means. Now, did I touch this minus 1?
No.
No, so it's still there. Die equals danger, danger, danger. Negative 15, and then we finish it up. We will have more on this tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. And you will learn to do it the right way.
I got 100. I didn't get a cookie.
But it's limited. That's the problem. There's a point in time where that technique doesn't work anymore. Just like Jack Keel could pound into the ground the easy kids. But as soon as he met a real wrestler, didn't work that way anymore.
I didn't
Yes.
get a cookie.
I need like, since I'm gonna not be here.
Oh, I'll go give you some sheets. Whatever.